Well, hello and welcome to The Sacred Speaks. My name is John Price. I'm your host, and today I'm also operating as the board president of the Jung Center here in Houston at junghouston.org, Jung Houston.org. I've prepared some notes. I'm going to read from these because this is kind of a special occasion here. This episode is being released as a special gift for those of you who joined us at our fall benefit, a gathering that sold out faster than any event in history. To those of you who are with us, thank you. Thank you for being part of such a meaningful and historic moment for the Jung Center. And for those listening a month later, welcome. Your presence here continues the circle that we began that night. For over 60 years, the Jung Center has served as a nonprofit resource unlike any other, a forum where psychology, art, and spirituality and the humanities come together. We foster conversations across disciplines, across difference, always asking what matters most in our lives. We champion the explored life. We prize compassion. We believe creativity doesn't just beautify life, it opens pathways to healing, awareness, and wise action. Each year, we offer hundreds of public programs, classes, workshops, exhibits that give people opportunities to deepen self-understanding, find new ways of expression, and connect with others in meaningful ways. We also place a high priority on outreach, bringing psychological, expressive, and spiritual tools into under-resourced communities, into the lives of caregivers under stress, and into spaces of deep need, not only for help, but for recognition that our inner lives, dreams, and wounds matter. It brings me great joy as the president and the host of The Sacred Speaks to introduce someone who has had an extraordinary influence on countless lives, including my own. This is my fourth time sitting down with Father Richard Rohr, and I can honestly say my life is more expansive, more grounded, and more alive because he's in it. Richard embodies the spirit of what the Jung Center has been cultivating for over 6 decades, an integration of psychology, spirituality, and the arts that helps us live more connected and compassionate lives. For this benefit, Richard and I were joined by Reverend Juanita Rasmus and Reverend Dr. Bill Curley. We turned our attention to happiness and meaning, 2 words often flattened in our culture into shallow pursuits, but which in his teachings and in his life, and I should say in their teachings and their lives, open into something much deeper. We explore what happiness really is, how it speaks with suffering and joy, and what it means at this season of his journey. So whether you're tuning in as a participant from that unforgettable evening, or listening now as a part of the Sacred Speaks community and the wider community of the Jung Center, I invite you to settle in, open your heart, and join me for this special conversation with Father Richard Rohr, my friend, mentor, and I actually don't have the words to describe all my thoughts and feelings about Richard. So check out the website, again, junghouston.org. Also, check out my website, drjohnwprice.com, drjohnwprice.com, and sign up for the newsletter, and also join us for the Open Gate. Our next group is 24th of September. And check us out at the Center for Healing Arts and Sciences, the centerforhas.com, a boutique wellness space that my wife and I created many years ago and is still such a beautiful healing center. So thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us at the Jung Center. And for now, I'll thank Father Richard Rohr. Thank you. And for now, we'll leave it there.
Controls your dream, persuades your thought.
40 tears when when you did a talk, a 7-minute improv talk at the Parliament of World Religions, and I was over sitting on the floor crying about what you were saying. So,
Really? I didn't know.
oh, yeah, I cried hard. It was great. I was sitting there just.
I wish I could cry. I just write about it.
Where are
Do
your
it like you do.
Where are your tears?
I think they're rationalized too much. They're
No.
not denied.
Mhm.
They're processed in a overly reasonable way.
Under the heading of the one, huh?
And that's it.
Yeah, you got to you got
And
to
the
get into
German.
my sevenness and get in some
And the German.
emotional gluttony is what full embodiment of sadness.
You.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Delightful.
Well, you and I are quite a pair because obviously we I get a great deal of delight in my connection and relationship with you.
Thank you.
Uh,
Vice versa.
okay, so one of the things we'll be talking about, obviously, this is an exciting time for the Jung Center in Houston, and you and I have shared some laughs about your trips to Houston years ago. So welcome to the kind of Houston world right now. And of course, we'll be talking on the 17th of December. But for now, just to contextualize this a bit, and this will give us some real grist for the mill when we do talk live streamed on the 17th of September. So the event that we're talking about, and certainly something that I've even been talking about, is that happiness is an inside job.
That's
And
right.
I'm curious about what you can say just in general about happiness. And here's your time to free associate.
All right. Well, you have a good starter line. I thought as a metaphor for the arena we'd like to talk in, let's of all things which a Jungian will love, use a fairy tale,
Oh, beautiful.
a well-known one of Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
I can't wait for this.
Goldilocks is wandering through the forest. She enters a house that is not hers. It's the house of the Three Bears. And she comes with her judgmental mind. Everything is either too hard or too soft, the bed, too big or too small, the chair, too hot or too cold, the porridge. And until she discovers it through the eyes of Baby Bear.
Mm.
And then she has this wonderful phrase, was the key phrase, everything here is just right. Just right. That's the mind that can be happy.
Mm.
Which isn't judging, is it too big? Is it too small?
Yeah.
Too hard? Is it too soft? That mind will always be unhappy. But if you can find the just right mind,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be happy no matter what the circumstances. What 9 out of 10 people do is think, and you've said this, I'm sure, they can create happiness by circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
by good circumstances. Go to Disney World, go to Hawaii, which is great diversion. Don't confuse diversion with happiness,
Mm.
which most people do. In fact, happiness is attained by when we come to the room, the event, the bed, the chair, the porridge, with the just right mind. Let me sum it up this way. When there's enough of me there, that's the just right mind, not the overly baggaged me,
Mm-hmm.
loads of definition by my hurts or my ego, but neither, and this has taken us a long time to discover, either the denied self, where there's not enough me. I think a lot of women, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of minorities have taught us this, that there needs to be enough me to appreciate, to be grateful. That's the just right mind. When there's enough of me to enjoy and to appreciate, not too much, which is always going to be judgmental and defensive, not too little, which is always going to be self-punishing and self-denying.
Mm.
So help me talk about what I'm trying to say by the just enough me. The just enough me in the situation, in the moment, can be happy. The too much me, symbolized by Papa Bear and Mama Bear, they're never content because they're always rearranging, judging, fixing. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at my sevenness right now because based upon what we were saying earlier about the not, always planning, that typology being that.
Well, we ones are worse than you are.
Well, I want to push on this a little bit because when I hear, let me be Jungian for a second. When I hear not enough me, I hear a persona identified. I hear
Very good.
obsessive with surfaces and externals.
Yeah.
And then too much me is a kind of narcissistic orientation where we're overwhelmed by our, emotions and take everything too
Yeah,
seriously. And I really love this distinction where you're balancing this kind of both and, harmony between the balance between the two, or attention to the opposites to be our Jungian selves.
good. You've already got my core template.
Mhm.
And I think with this, we can move forward and work in a
So,
balanced way without creating what the church did so much, and we and the church, this sin management thing.
mhm.
Going to be happy if you don't sin. Well, you're going to be happy if there's enough of you there, but not too much of you there.
Mm.
It's my way of saying it.
Okay, I want you to unpack sin management for a second because that sounds like a
Not a
meaningful.
good
That's
phrase.
great. Yes, go there. What do you mean by that?
Well, that's what the job description that most Western clergy unfortunately accepted for themselves.
Mm.
Our job was to name who the sinners are and therefore who the not sinners are,
Mhm.
and to protect the not sinners from becoming sinners, to condemn, punish sin, to reward the not sin. It was a horrible, really horrible worldview.
It is horrible. It's also an enormous amount of responsibility that is not really for the human to hold.
Very good. Well put. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I only came to realize this over 50 some years as a priest, how that's what people wanted from me,
Whoa.
was to manage their sin life. Uh, Pope Francis said it so well when he said, "Who am I to judge?"
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So that brings up a good question about the things that you experience, the kind of urges and desires that you've experienced from other people. And it sounds as if one of the things throughout your whole life that people turn to you to absolve them of these
Yes.
conflicts.
To forgive them of their sin, to let them know they are forgiven, which is a wonderful gift to do. But I don't have that burden, really, of doing
Yeah.
it for you.
Yeah.
You have to do it for yourself.
How did you manage? How did you reconcile that or
Well,
manage
it
it?
took that I'm in my 83rd year. It's just a lot of doing it wrong
Yeah. Oh.
before I did it
Oh.
right,
Mhm.
and seeing which people grew, what people grew, and what people didn't. And those who were constantly managing their worthiness didn't grow because there's always more to manage, more to explain, more to forgive, more to repent of. I hate that word. The word in Greek, metanoia, means to change your mind.
Yeah.
And for 9 out of 10 Christians, the word repent means to feel guilty about your sexual thoughts.
Hmm.
Your
It's a police state, an inner police
That's
state.
right. That's right. Yes.
I love this sin management. And so, yeah, you said something there about observing who grew and who didn't. And I want to unpack that a little bit and looking at what is growth and what is stagnation and what you've observed for so many years that, because whether it's human or divine or both or whatever it is, you obviously have been in a very central space to receive a lot of these burdens from people. And so just like
Projections. Yeah.
yeah, what's that like for you and what have you observed in others?
What it's like for me is like you're bothering me with something that I don't need to be bothered with.
Hmm.
Your worthiness or your unworthiness. As if I, by a Catholic wave of the hand, well, we call it giving absolution, can make you worthy. Um, that was just a great big lie.
Well, I want to be gentle also because you like as I think of as a psychotherapist, you may have heard these meta studies before, but this is one of my favorite research statistics. What they say is change in a psychotherapeutic paradigm. 40% of change is simply just your life structure, right? Like How are you financially? How are you with friendships? How's your health? How are you real
Yeah,
basic Maslow's kind of like right down here.
good, good.
And then 15% is technique,
Mm,
right? So out of like 14 years of learning how to do therapy, it's like it counts for 15% of change, you know? Another 15% is authority, or you may say placebo, right? Projection. Is this person capable? Are they competent? Do they know what they're doing? But the other 30%, the rest is relationship. And
mm,
I would argue that there is an element of the ritual of you blessing with you and I were at Chimayo. Is that the
yes,
you
yeah,
looked at me and you said if you can actually get yourself in the position of somebody that believes this, it's miraculous. I mean, miracles
it's
happen.
miraculous.
But if you're not, and these are my words now because
You're
I'm
cynical.
yeah, you're like this is absurd, you know.
Nothing new is going to happen. Yeah, right.
So that is the one thing I want to push on a little bit is that there is a kind of potency in that ritual. And certainly when people have a belief in what energies that you can channel, we can call it all kinds of things. There is power in that. So what do you say to all that?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
After dismissing it because it's been overused and misused,
I see. I heard that. Yeah. Yeah.
particularly by Catholics. I don't know how you Protestants misused it, but I know how we did. And by what I call priestcraft,
Uh huh.
making it totally dependent upon the symbolic action or correct words of another. Like I've heard confessions and not use the official words, which I hardly ever do, and have the penitent correct me, Father, you didn't use the official words.
They
So
need it. There's like, you're not operating in my
that,
paradigm. And I need you to y-
that's how I move over there, or
move over here. You're getting this role, you know?
I'm not forgiven unless you say it right. I've had that from priests, especially
Yeah, I bet.
because they know the correct words and they don't come back to me a second time
You
because
didn't play the game, man.
I don't use the second word, correct words.
Well, and there's a comedy here. Life is funny. Like if anything, you know, the universe, the all. There's a humor to this, and so I say this all with reverence. Even my laughter, I do mean it in reverence because, frankly, 15% of change, if we apply the same metrics to clergy or the priesthood, that's a lot. That's meaningful. You know, that's not nothing. So there is this element, but of truth, of validity, of belief. You know, like
Excellent.
I always
Thank,
say that
thank you.
most physicians don't need a white lab coat and a stethoscope. They wear it because it constellates this authority, and that has power. So to kind of honor that, there is also this element that it feels at times to you. I'm projecting here, so check this out and correct it. That there's a undue burden that is rested upon the human that you are as well.
Yes. Well put. Yes.
How have you carried that? How did you, for years? I mean, Richard, you're at the center point of a lot of
In
spiritual.
my young years, we are not used to being an authority or an elder. You just become enamored
Uh huh.
with the power you have and the importance you have in people's lives. In fact, my spiritual director in theology, he said, "Now, Richard, you're going to go home to Kansas and be ordained next week. Now, you're going to get all ego inflated for a few months. I hope not a few years,
Yes.
where you can't believe how much authority people are giving you.
Wow.
And boy, is that true.
Mm.
It's just a delight to put on the vestments. When you watch the Oprah show tomorrow, you'll see my first mass vestment. I look like a forest garden. But he said, looking straight at me, knowing it, I said, get over it.
Hmm.
Get over it. Enjoy it for a while. You have a right to enjoy your new vestments and your new title and your new authority, but get over it. It isn't where the real power is at. Wasn't it
Whoa,
genius?
that feels so healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
He
so where
called Chinese missionary. Yeah.
extend that a little bit. Where you said that that isn't where the power is. Where is the power?
The power is talking, this fits into your world, to
Mhm.
people with love and with conviction and with positivity,
Uh,
not sin management. Sin management is not positivity. It's the
mhm.
exact it's beginning with the problem and trying to solve the problem with words, talk therapy, alone. I'm all for talk therapy, but I gotta be careful. I'm
Yeah,
an expert here.
watch it, watch it. No, critique it if you want. I mean, I'm open
No,
for the
you know what
dialogue.
I'm saying. It's
Well,
just
but what I like about where we're going here is you're talking about sin management as this. You and I have talked about this before, where you have said where the mystical is, the moral is not, and it feels like the moral function of differentiating into good and bad, right and wrong, approach or avoid, whatever kind of dual distinctions we have. That's part of the psychic. It's part of the psychic reality of polarizing that happens. And then that creates this unrest and unhappiness. And then happiness becomes a kind of addiction where we're trying to get these experiences in order to feel that thing. And now we're all in the addictive, hungry ghost
yeah.
space. Fair?
Well, just one part. Be
Push.
careful where the mystical is, the moral is not. It's too dualistic.
Okay,
You
good.
actually move to a higher level of morality that is not moralistic.
Mm.
Transform mystic. It's not naming commandments like when Jesus said to the rich young man, "You know the commandments." That's just kindergarten. You're taking
Mhm.
care of that. But now let's move beyond naming and enforcing commandments. So it's not throwing out the moral, but it's saying, what is the moral really about? And some people who are ostensibly, formally a bit immoral, Jesus uses this in a number of his stories, end up being much more moral while breaking the law. The example when he says David went with his soldiers into the temple and ate the show bread, the offering bread from the altar. I mean, by any stretch, he was breaking the law.
Mhm.
And he says, well, he was hungry. They were hungry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How we just preach through a line like that, not realizing what a rebel Jesus was. It's the same as Pope Francis. Who am I to judge? To
Did
the gay person.
did you yeah. Yes. If that's back to that, this is so healthy. Who am I to judge? I don't accept that universal in this particular expression. Yeah, that's we tend to do that. We walk all over
There
because
you
we
go.
we adopt the universal as if it is the exclusive.
The whole
Yeah.
explanation that covers every base.
Yeah.
In fact, it misses some of the bases.
Well, you said Jesus is a rebel. I want to connect with that. Another thing that you've said to me before that I really enjoy, and I know I've said this in other conversations you and I've had, is that you said to me, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this is my memory, that Christianity was never about the demonic, it was about the ego.
Did I say that? But that's good. Yeah.
You said it to me when we were hanging out having coffee, but
Oh, okay.
yeah. But
Yeah.
what we were doing, to me, the way I interpreted that is that we've made it about shadow and all of the shadow when in fact what it's really about is that we have these inevitabilities of our ego and we need to be mindful of that. And to
Well,
add another element that you shared with me a long time ago is you shared that you pray to be humbled once a day, and that feels like a very
yeah,
healthy ego position.
that's true. Because I've gotten way too much praise and
Mhm.
glory in my life. And if I don't have some people who bring Richard down to earth
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
know that I put my pants on like everybody else does,
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. Yeah.
So let me dive into this, kind of furthering this conversation on happiness. How does your understanding of happiness connect with meaning or diverge from it? Where does meaning fit in there?
What comes to mind, I don't know if it's the best way to say it, but when you can find significance, value, acceptability in what isn't meaningful, what is suffering,
Mhm.
suffering broadly defined. Uh, that's the key. It's back to my old paradigm that you're familiar with:
Mhm.
order, disorder, reorder. You start with meaning, then there has to be a whole shot in your meaning explanation.
Mm.
Dang it doesn't always work. One that's so helpful today, although people are resisting it, is the whole human race is Adam and Eve. And then some people come along and say, oh, but there's Adam and Steve. No, there can't be Adam and Steve. There can be, there is not.
It works this way.
I will not accept Adam and Steve. That's huge.
Hmm.
That God could use different paradigm to get us to the same end point. I think there, strategically, there probably have to be gay people, or we would be locked in dualism.
Right.
Locked into
Yes. What there probably have to be because there are. Like
yeah,
that is the
very
way
good,
that is how
very
things are,
very good, very
And
good,
so rather than wasting time denying what is,
very good.
you know,
Thank you.
what's
You're
it
so
is
easy to talk to.
well, so are you. But the thought there is that it's fascinating how often that orientation of dominion over reality on some level. So you can assert your own agenda. It's a kind of black magic. This is the Gnostic turn where the Gnostics are like, oh no, not that. We need to be in humble relationship with the forces and powers of the universe, not dominating reality and asserting our own agenda on it.
Yeah. Yes.
So, from your years of spiritual direction and guidance, what do you notice about how people misunderstand happiness?
They think of happiness too quickly as a diversion,
Hmm.
as what can I do to create happy circumstances this afternoon at the happy hour, we even call it, and we let our happiness depend upon that. You can't do that. You can't go there. Some diversion, however entertaining, however delightful, however sexual and fun it is not of itself a key to happiness. In fact, it could be an avoidance. It will be an
Hmm.
avoidance of it. When you suddenly need happy hour every day
Oh yeah.
to be happy, now we created a wonderful word. Now you're codependent or even
Hmm.
addicted.
Hmm.
You're trapped. Yeah.
So, what do you see as the shadow side of our culture's obsession with happiness?
The need for comfort and entertainment. And there's nothing wrong with comfort. God, I love comfort. Less so entertainment. I'm not too much of a seven like you. I get bored by entertainment, but comfort,
Hmm.
we'll each define it in our own way. It's just something you become so dependent upon that you don't know how to be happy in a imperfect motel room.
Hmm.
It has to be very comfortable. It has to be 4-star, 5-star.
Everything.
Then you're trapped.
Hmm.
And
I,
we're there as a whole culture now. We are used to extreme comfort compared to most people who've ever lived on this planet.
yeah, right. Yeah, and so that brings up this relationship. You mentioned it earlier And so I don't want to belabor the point too much, but there's something connected then with suffering, with the whole and the ordered meaning. And so, how do happiness and suffering go together?
What comes to mind is your ability to negotiate suffering and not let it destroy you is an essential art form. It's not something that might happen. It must and it will happen
Hmm.
to get you out of your addiction to comfort and pleasure. Then you can be happy all day. Then Paul can be happy in prison.
Hmm.
You have to practice that. You have to learn that, how not to get your own way. It has a lot to do with ego comfort, what I choose, what I decide I need to be happy. And you have to practice already, I think, in your younger years, not getting your own way. This is why most of us, I can tell this to you as a married man, most of us are called to marriage.
Hmm.
Because what it is a commitment to a relationship where you don't always get your own way.
Yeah,
And that's essential for spiritual growth. Would you agree?
I would. Yeah, I would, because we have deep projections in a, when you have, I immediately think of two things. The first is wealthy countries and how they navigate, certainly ours being one of them. But I also think of third generation wealth, like people who've just had every single thing, every material need met, and not really suffered, struggled, and the need to go through tension. I talked to a guy yesterday who was a warrior. He was in the military and was in war, and he said, "I miss it."
Really?
Oh yeah, miss it, because it was the most powerful, meaningful, connected, present, bonded relationships
Well,
that
yeah.
he's ever had, and there's a longing for. I think what really matters when we really get down to it is community, connection, relationship, love. I love what Jim Hollis says about this when he references how we seek out secular surrogates. Something about that line just rolls. I love that. And we're a culture of secular
Surrogates for what?
for meaning, for happiness,
Oh, of
for
course.
what
Yeah,
matters.
of course. Yes. Yeah, we sure do. And when you see the weight people give to a sports event, to winning it,
Well,
I
there's
mean,
a kind of, I mean,
wrong. It's not wrong. It's just dangerous.
well, yeah, there's certainly, yeah, we can start us them dynamics. Did you ever hear that study where they took like something like kindergarten kids and they divided the kids up by blue eye and brown eye, and all of a
Oh,
sudden the kids started fighting each other and having conflict, and it was some arbitrary, like, just okay, yeah,
yeah.
you're, and they created us them dynamics. We're back to this like early conception
Yeah,
of morality, us them.
I believe it.
Yeah. So as you look back, I want to move into some of your personal experiences. I'm, for number one, deeply curious. This is fun, to know more about you. As you look at your journey, yeah, oh yeah,
Feels so boring. Go ahead, though.
not to me. Remember, I'm the judge of what's boring and not. I'm the seven. You don't get to. You don't have a you don't have a dog in this race. So as you look back at your own journey, where you've been, where you are now, what what has brought and what brings you genuine happiness? So start historically, like through your development.
The word that first comes to mind is beauty,
Mm.
physical beauty in a landscape, in a person's face, in a painting. It's so pleasing that you learn to become dependent upon it.
Mm.
I mistrust poets who can only write poems now about beautiful things. You have to be weaned from beauty. Who's that guy who paints these houses with beautiful little houses? What's his name? He's probably from Houston.
I don't know.
There's always light coming out of the windows.
Hmm.
Oh, we've both seen it.
Hmm.
His whole life is beautiful little houses with light coming out of the window. And that's a good place to start, to be an appreciator. But I don't know if he ever evolved into painting slums
Hmm.
and still able to appreciate that. I don't know. I hope he did. Because you're trapped. If you need prettiness, be happy. You're not always going to be happy. You're going to avoid people who are not so good looking, neighborhoods that are not so attractive, whatever it might be. And that's not the kingdom of God. That's the kingdom of empire, which imposes success, imposes a winning agenda.
Mm. God, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So today, when you think about happiness, what does that mean to you as an experience?
In recent years, I think it has to do with facing my death and facing
Hmm.
I go to doctors so much now. It's just so boring. Uh, it has to do with I've got to find happiness in some way other than this is going to be a pleasant day. I know many times this isn't going to be a pleasant day. I've got to reset this to make it pleasant anyway. It is mindfulness.
Hmm.
It's very hard when you really don't enjoy doctors or your own health or my body is getting weaker and weaker to not be able to walk of my own accord, succeed and with my own effort. It's just becoming so humiliating. But if I can set my mind straight, that I'm going to use very old religious language, but God's will says it's okay.
Hmm.
God can still be happy when you're stumbling along with a cane. That's defining ultimate goodness. So if God can be happy and doesn't need to change it, then I can be happy too.
Mm.
And that all is based on a theistic worldview, which most of our country doesn't have.
Right.
Don't have belief in a God who is pleased or unpleased. I think God is always pleased, even at our failures. And that's the price we pay for it. That we have to accept a God who accepts everything,
Mm.
everything. This has happened. Now let's go ahead. I don't need to change it to be content. To allow the contentment of God to invade you so you don't need to change things or to fix things to be content. Oh, that's a hard lesson.
Hard.
But that's what many of my days are like anymore.
Does death come to your mind
Oh, yeah.
most days?
Well, now that I had this recent stroke, it's just right on
Right
the
there.
other side of the fence,
Yeah.
knowing it could happen any time. Another stroke that would debilitate I've depended my whole life on my ability to talk and to think, and knowing that could be gone in a moment with the wrong kind of stroke or the right kind of stroke. That's scary.
Hmm.
It's especially scary at night where I have to hold it alone. And if I don't have someone to hold it with me, which I'm speaking of God,
Hmm.
it's lonely. Yeah, it's not, it hasn't been destructively debilitating, but it is scary
Mhm.
to be lying there alone, waiting for the stroke to hit. Now, I as a one, we catastrophize. Do you use that word,
I do. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're experts at it. Catastrophizing what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And then it turns out to be another lovely day, despite it all.
Richard, there's, like you are, I think of a time when you and I were in Taos and, we went out and had a great dinner and a drink. And it's almost like you have such a good humor.
Oh,
Your laugh has, even as we know each other, as we do, I'm able to witness and walk this process with you. And I just noticed that, wow, I mean, your laughter is there and I feed off it and we feed off each other. There's something in that about vitality.
thank you. You bring it out of most anybody by that
Well,
smile of yours.
you're a sweetheart. And you have Opie.
There he is,
And
sitting in
that's,
his little dog bed looking up at me right now,
yeah, yeah.
wondering what are these sounds my master is making.
Well, because I do wonder about it. It's almost interesting as I was sitting here thinking about putting happiness together with death, and number one, we tend not to have open conversations about this, so it feels pretty
Right,
foreign. But
right.
I don't presume that when looking at life and reflecting on meaning and your legacy, certainly, which is um, massive. You're somebody that can look back on your life and say, wow, I did that really well. And that's my hope for you, at least. But the idea of feeling happy as death is approaching, I'm having trouble squaring that. And even if,
Yeah, it's harder.
yeah,
So I guess that's coming through my words that I can't say my happiness is glibly attained by just watching Everybody Loves Raymond or Golden Girls or some- something to keep I'm more inclined toward public television and so but sometimes I literally gotta have something lighthearted, which we once feel it's unworthy of us.
hmm
But these days I need it.
I know as far as a practice is concerned, I'm curious around spiritual practices cultivating, but is that even a thought, is that like a young person's game, or how do you feel about spiritual practices at this stage of your life?
I know I'm not tied to any one.
Hmm
Even daily mass is not part of my life anymore. I hope that's not arrogant. A daily sit together with the staff here
hmm
online is good. But if I miss it, I don't feel any guilt. And
hmm
if my mind goes somewhere else, it's embarrassing how little guilt I have. Ah, yeah,
I mean, that may be something important to notice,
it
because
may be, and maybe.
they say that just to bring a really appropriate conversation when we're talking about death, we also need to talk about sex. So there's an interesting dynamic that I hear from a lot of folks as they're aging, that they become more liberated in their sexual life because of the kinds of anxieties and
Mhm.
insecurities and shame isn't there as much, and so they're able to be more embodied and liberated. This is like 70s, folk 80s, and so I wonder about the same thing, like guilt. The character of aging, as James Hillman has it. You don't have to hold those anxieties any longer, and so you get more of an open expression.
I think that's very true.
Yeah. Oh.
By the same token, my libido is almost gone
Mhm.
after
I'm sure.
what's prostate operation and all the
Yeah.
rest.
Hmm.
So I don't have much libido. But if I did, I wouldn't feel guilty about it.
So, jumping to community, how can communities and cultures support happiness that isn't shallow but rooted in meaning?
By enjoying what other people are enjoying
Mm.
right now in your line of sight. You find yourself observing children, especially, and your ability to participate in that joy. I don't have my own so much now, but I have hers or his.
Mm.
And to notice there actually is a small smile on my face of contentment. It's not a guffaw laughter anymore. It's just a deep satisfaction that I'm glad you keep using the word meaning.
Mhm.
This is meaningful. Why did Jesus keep pointing to children unless you become like one of these? It must have been very simple what he was pointing us toward, that the children get it already by not trying. I can realize why we use the word second childhood. I feel like a second child
Mm.
where I can enjoy simple little things that kids enjoy. And it does, because I spent my whole life in theology and philosophy, I'm shocked how I don't need a huge Platonic Aristotelian definition of meaning.
You've
I sure did most of my life.
you've ordered disordered, and now you're reordering that thing.
Yeah, I would hope to believe that's true.
Huh.
Oh, but I hope so.
So, for people listening who may be struggling to find happiness, what encouragement or practice or orientation would you offer?
You know, humor is huge.
Mhm.
Whenever you're disgruntled, you're usually taking yourself too seriously. And that's why envy use sevens. You can so slip into humor. Humor is saying it's okay despite the absurdity.
Mhm.
I love the humor of Seinfeld.
I just saw a clip of his today. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, and it's always as he himself said about nothing.
Nothing. It's great.
He and George and yeah,
Ah.
I'm not going to mention several heads of state who met this week. I mean, how they can't smile,
Yeah.
they can't laugh, they can't. They take themselves way too seriously.
Mhm.
And in the Franciscan tradition, holy humor was a part of the agenda of holiness. One of the earliest friars was Brother Juniper, and Francis just kept him around to keep him lighthearted. Brother, he said, if only we had a whole forest of little junipers. Like I'd say, if only we had a whole forest of John Prices to keep us all lighthearted, because when you're trapped, you cannot laugh.
Mhm.
You cannot. I don't want to mention the name of our president or the president of Russia, but neither of them laugh.
Yeah.
It's
That's
so pathetic.
Jung said something about that, and not I'll mess this up, but not trusting anybody who doesn't have a sense of humor.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a real he noted that a lot, which that trickster, the trickster has a seat at the table and needs one.
Nice way to say it.
Yeah. So if you could leave folks, given, closing our conversation up a bit, if you could leave folks with a single truth about happiness and meaning, what would it be?
Happiness is not a creation of my practice at attaining happiness. Happiness is a participation in a bigger field, in the ultimate source that is always happy. Now, my word for that is God. You don't
Hmm.
have to use that word, but we were told God was supremely and always happy. And look at the tragedy
Hmm.
world.
Hmm.
So think of all holiness, all joy as a participatory experience. So it's come to by a surrendering,
Mm.
not an achieving, not a performing, not
Emptying
a
out.
need. It's a letting go of my Richard boundaries, resting in a joy that is bigger than my own.
Mm. So are there places where on the arc of your life, your vocation, teachings, friendships, all the various stages, what have been the moments or seasons that you've felt the clearest expression of happiness?
The one that certainly comes to mind is alone in nature.
Mm.
Nature, plants, animals, the sky, the sun, brother sun. We're painting our new assembly room here, and they're letting me pick out the colors. I'm doing this, the vault of the ceiling, a deep, brilliant blue, and the light fixtures are going to become stars.
Mm.
And at least I hope they let me do this. I'm supposedly retired and have no, no say in the matter. And the floor is going to be a deep forest green carpet.
Mm. Nice.
So all spiritual teaching is done inside um, the, the heavens and the earth.
Hmm.
We're living in the in between. The early Franciscans felt that nature was the first Bible.
Mm.
Most simple way to put it. Nature was the Bible. Now we know millions of years before the Bible was written. And evangelicals must be so upset at that. Millions. They keep discovering, and I don't know if you saw this new series on all the dinosaur bones
Mm.
they're discovering with new archaeology. They're everywhere.
Wow.
Dinosaurs were on every planet.
Hmm. Mm.
What does that mean?
Mm.
I remember asking somewhat facetiously one of my professors, what was God doing for the 200 or 300 million years which dinosaurs roamed the whole planet,
Yeah.
eating grass? What? And he said, Richard, God watched them eat grass for 200 million years and was happy. I don't know what evangelicals do with that. They have to deny the existence of dinosaurs, I guess.
Yep. Doesn't fit in the paradigm.
Doesn't fit.
So, just in closing, there's a couple of things. If you could imagine your life itself as a teaching on happiness and meaning, what blessing or wisdom would you want to most leave with those who come after you?
Trusting, encouraging you to trust. And this is what it means to be blessed. That there's a radical, absolute okayness to the universe.
Mm.
And it's going on its way. You and I are going to come and go,
Mm.
but it's still okay. When I can bless that okayness, participate in it in myself, even though I'm just a little participant, when that my source of joy is not in my own ability to do it right, but my own ability to participate
Mm.
in the whole each day. And that's where you need practice
Yes.
to learn how to participate in in what Thomas Merton called the general dance.
Hmm.
General dance. There's a general dance going on, and all we can do is participate in it.
Hmm.
He had a good phrase for everything that mattered.
Well, so as we look at our conversation today, is there anything else that you feel we need to include today before we finish?
Now I'm getting sleepy.
I can imagine. You've done amazing. I'm always impressed with your laugh, with your openness, with your reverence, and with your humility. Like
You're too kind.
well, you make me happy.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. You certainly do. Look at that.
Thank
Wish
you.
I had a grin like that.
You do. Gosh, captivating. Yes, lots of love, Richard, and thank you for your time and presence here. For
Do whatever you want with any of this.
I shall. See ya.
Have a good day and say hello to your wife.
I will.
Bye.
Thanks, Richard. Say hello to Eli.
Persuade your thoughts. God.